Hey guys, I'm Quick Turtle, and this is an overview of everything that came in the Skills Mastery update. So I'll be going over the entire patch notes and just my general thoughts on things and what I've seen so far and put my input in. So first things first, they announced Ember Knights 2.0, Wrath of the Architect. Now it's going to be a DLC, and it's going to be coming in Q4 of 2024. You can wishlist it now. We'll talk about that in a later video. But for now, the Skills Mastery updates. Skill upgrading. Skill upgrades are something we've wanted to implement for a while now, so here we go. With Eevee's help, every skill can be upgraded in multiple ways, and once they're unlocked, they can be equipped in any order. Mix and match upgrades for awesome and powerful synergies. Okay, so what you can see from this image, you can see one of Arcane Bolt's, actually two of Arcane Bolt's upgrades, and we'll get to that in a later video as well. This is just showing off, once again, some of the skill upgrades that you can get. Now, this Nice Charge one is pretty cool. I haven't actually used it yet, but one of my friends is using it, and they had a blast using it. They said that Meteor did a lot of damage and had good AoE. Another thing, the PAX competition mode is now out. Everybody can play it. It's a pretty short mode. You get 1 minute to kill as many enemies as possible. All the waves are set, or a set number of enemies. The enemies are randomized. At the halfway point, you get a mini boss that spawns in. At the quarter, or last 15 seconds, you have a champion that will spawn. Champion Rotworm, that is. It's a pretty cool little event, minigame, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty cool. I believe the record right now is 66 that I got just the other day. Actually, it was yesterday. But let me know what you guys think about that. That's a pretty cool competition mode. I won't play the video for reasons. Once again, be sure to practice, as we'll be introducing some contests related to the competition mode closer to 2.0. Okay, I didn't read this the first time I read through the patch notes, but damn, okay, so they're going to be introducing some contests related to the competition mode closer to 2.0. That's really interesting. Okay, we'll get back to that in a later video once again. So the complete patch notes for the Skills Mastery update. Just a quick note, items marked with a fire are a result of player feedback. That's always nice to hear. It's nice to know that the community had an impact on some things, which is very nice. Anyways, new content and features. Skill upgrades. Upgrades include 3 specific upgrades and 1 ultimate upgrade for each skill, as well as a handful of general upgrades that can be applied to any skill. Okay, so we're going to go over the general upgrades, and then we'll break down every single upgrade of each skill. So the general upgrades. There's 5 general upgrades. Upgrade 1 increases crit chance. So if you pick this for your skill, it increases the crit chance of that skill to crit, and also allows that skill to crit if it doesn't crit by default or have a default crit chance. The next one is increases damage. So one of the things I've seen is like Arcane Bolts, it has a base damage of 8. If you pick up this upgrade 2, which is the damage increase general upgrade, it will increase it by 5, which is like over 50%, which is really crazy. Now, if you do take any general upgrades, you cannot unlock the ultimate upgrade for a skill, but I'll talk about that a little later as well. Upgrade 3 adds 1 additional charge. So let's say you're rocking Knight's Charge that has 1 charge. Now you pick up upgrade 3, which adds an additional charge. Now you have 2 charges at whatever the refresh is of that skill. Upgrade 4, defeating an enemy with a skill heals. So it'll heal you 1 health for defeating an enemy with a skill. That's a pretty interesting one. I haven't actually used it, but it seems like it's really strong, or can be strong at least. Upgrade 5, reduces the number of hits to refresh. So this is a variable one, just like the damage. So on skills that have like 20 refresh by default, aka Ballista and Wisps, it will decrease the refresh by 5, which is a good chunk. Now on other skills that have like a refresh of, let's say 10 or 8, it'll only reduce the refresh by 2. But still really, really good. Okay, now let's get on to some of the individual skills upgrades. So I'll also break down how the skill upgrades work. So the skill upgrades work as in you go to Eevee, you interact with her, she allows you to upgrade some skills, and you have to pay Ash for each skill upgrade, and they're not permanent upgrades, they're allowing you to be able to find them in a run. And when you pick up 2 upgrades for a specific skill, so let's say I have Ember Fire and I pick up like upgrade 1 and upgrade 2, then you get the ultimate upgrade as soon as you get the second one. Now you don't need to do these in order, so you don't need to get the first one and then the second one and then the third one. You don't need to do that. You only need 2 upgrades. So either upgrade 1, upgrade 2, or maybe upgrade 1, upgrade 3, or maybe 2 and 3, and then you get the ultimate. Okay, hopefully you guys understand that. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Once again, I'll clear things up in the comments. Okay, Ember Fire, upgrade 1, increases the range. So I haven't played around with it, but it seems like the range is pretty significant of an increase. Upgrade 2, burst an additional cone of mystical flame behind the knight. So you'll be able to shoot a flame cone in front of you and behind you simultaneously. Very, very cool. Upgrade 3, shoots 3 fireballs in a spread shot. I don't know how practical this one is, but it is kind of cool. And then the ultimate upgrade for Ember Fire is whenever you burn an enemy with Ember Fire, your burn effects deal increased damage. Now, I still haven't tested this, but what I grasped from this is that whenever you burn an enemy with Ember Fire, your burn effects deal increased damage. So all your burn effects, which is the damage over time from burn, will deal increased damage. I don't know how much that increased is. I think it's 10 damage, but I'm not 100% sure. Moving on to Blast Bomb. The first upgrade is enemies hit by your Blast Bomb are rooted. Now, rooted is pretty cool. It means they can't move, but they can still attack. Really cool. Upgrade 2. Your bombs pull enemies towards them before exploding. So they kind of have like a cyclone or a black hole effect to it. It pulls in enemies and then explodes. Pretty cool, actually. Upgrade 3 throws 3 bombs in a row. So we saw that way up here. This is that 3 bombs in a row. Not the last part, but that's the 3 bombs in a row. Honestly, a pretty cool upgrade. And the ultimate upgrade for Blast Bomb is bombs explode into 3 smaller clusters, which is the back half of this. When they explode, 3 different clusters, right? Pretty cool. Okay. Onto Arcane Bolts. Upgrade 1. Your bolts become ghosts. I haven't tried this, but it seems very interesting. When you defeat an enemy with a ghost bolt, another is summoned to seek and damage additional enemies. Wow. That seems like it's going to be really strong. Once again, still haven't tested it, but wow, I think it's going to be really strong. Upgrade 2. Your bolts are imbued with a random element, burn, freeze, poison, or lightning. So as you could see in this, you can see that the bolts have like different colors, and that signifies each element. So the yellow one's lightning, the blue one's freeze, the red one's burn, and so on like that, right? Yeah, burn, freeze, poison, and lightning. So purple would be poison. Upgrade 3. Your bolts release in an expanding circle. You can also see that it releases in an expanding circle in that GIF. The ultimate upgrade for Arcane Bolts is Arcane Bolts refreshes quicker. Now, I'm not sure how much quicker, but that does seem pretty sick. Makes speedrunning with it just that much better, it seems. Now, Rupture. Upgrade 1. The ground is ruptured, dealing damage over time. So now it's like a damage over time effect, which is really cool. I haven't tried it, but it seems pretty sick. Upgrade 2. Whenever you cast a perfect Rupture, the outer ring is cast an additional time. So I'm not 100% sure whether this is worth it or not, because what it sounds like, or what it is when you perfectly cast Rupture, you get that like inner circle, and then you get another outer circle because you perfected it. Now that outer circle will proc again, which means if there's enemies coming towards you and you perfect cast, and that second ring doesn't hit the first time around, but now the enemies are closer, and then it procs again. That seems like it's practical, but I don't know how useful it is. Anyways, upgrade 3. You gain max HP for each enemy defeated by Rupture. I'm not sure how much health you gain, but it's pretty interesting. Also, enemies have a chance to turn into a potato. I don't know what the potato fiasco is about, but I've heard that the potato does nothing, and I've heard that the potato does something, and I just don't know. I haven't seen it happen. I haven't used Rupture yet, but it's very interesting and intriguing to see what the potato does. But for now, we'll have to move on. The ultimate upgrade for Rupture is enemies below a certain HP are instantly defeated. Once again, I don't know what the threshold is for the instantly defeated threshold, but that seems really good. I'll definitely have to try that one. Alright, moving on to Chakram. One of the strongest skills, in my opinion, that I've seen, and it continues to be really strong. Just wait for these upgrades. Upgrade 1. Increase crit chance of Chakram. Pretty self-explanatory, right? I think it's like a 10%, maybe 15% chance, or crit chance increase. Not bad at all, right? But this is the second half of Upgrade 1. Whenever your Chakram crits, it freezes. Now, if you know anything about the Speedrunner build, or the crazy freeze build, whatever you guys want to call it, that is insane. Whenever Chakram crits, it freezes. Like, that's just ridiculous. Upgrade 2. Whenever Chakram bounces off the knight, their next weapon attack is a guaranteed crit. Which is interesting. Doesn't seem too amazing, but I guess it's good synergy with any weapon that has high damage. So like sword, scythe. Those are the only two that come to mind. But yeah, high damage. This could be good. This could be very good. Upgrade 3. Whenever you cast a perfect Chakram, your first hit is a crit. Let me repeat that. Whenever you cast a perfect Chakram, your first hit is a crit. Now let's rewind back to Upgrade 1. Increases crit chance of Chakram. Whenever Chakram crits, it freezes. So if you pair Upgrade 1 and Upgrade 3, where whenever you cast a perfect Chakram, which you're probably always going to cast a perfect Chakram, your first hit is a crit. So that first hit will also freeze if you pair Upgrade 3 and Upgrade 1 together, which is just ridiculous. Like, that just makes it part of the freeze build, and it just makes it better, you know? And last but not least, the ultimate upgrade for Chakram. Chakram's hits count towards refreshing skills. Let me repeat that one more time, because Chakram's upgrades are crazy. Chakram's hits count towards refreshing skills. Like, are they trying to make the speedrunner builds just that crazy? Yes, I know I bring up speedrunning a lot, but that's because I started playing this game as a speedrunner pretty much, which is just, like, absurd. Like, it seems really strong. Once again, let me know your thoughts on this, because I think Chakram's upgrades are insane. And I want to try it out so bad, I just haven't had the time. Moving on to Knight's Charge, another great skill with some great upgrades. Upgrade 1. Whenever you cast a perfect Knight's Charge, a meteor is summoned at the target location that deals damage and burn. Once again, it's pretty strong. It is pretty strong. It has good AoE, it still stuns, it still does everything that a normal Knight's Charge does, but Upgrade 1 just makes it that much better. Alright, Upgrade 2. Leaves a trail of fire that burns enemies. Honestly, I could take this or leave it. It's not that great unless you're doing some burn build where you're just going to have burn relics anyways, which then it's pretty crazy, but very interesting. Not sure how practical it is. Upgrade 3. Your Knight's Charge is a decoy projectile that stuns enemies. See, I don't fully understand this. I haven't used it yet. I haven't seen it in action. But your Knight's Charge is a decoy projectile that stuns enemies. So it seems like you send out a ghost of yourself, aka a decoy, that still stuns enemies when it hits it or hits them. I'm not sure how useful it is. We'll definitely have to check that out and see how useful Upgrade 3 is. Now, the ultimate upgrade for Knight's Charge is whenever 3 or more enemies are hit by perfect Knight's Charge, it refreshes. So if you're always hitting grouped enemies of 3 or more and perfecting Knight's Charge, you'll always have Knight's Charge up with this ultimate upgrade. Very cool. Moving on to Warrior Wisps. Upgrade 1 increases max wisps by 1, and wisps no longer have a lifetime. So they used to have a lifetime, or they would have a health value, and that health value would decay over time, thus killing them at a certain point. But now they no longer have decay, or no longer slowly die. They will live forever until they die to an enemy's attacks or some form of damage. Also increasing the max wisps cap by 1. That's pretty interesting. Not too crazy by any means, but makes sense. Upgrade 2. You gain weapon damage for each wisp you have. Now, this upgrade is pretty close, or is basically just Warlock Script as a skill upgrade. So, I'm not sure how much damage it increases by per wisp, but it seems like it's going to be a significant amount and could be pretty useful. Upgrade 3. Whenever a wisp is defeated, each knight is healed. Now, we got this one revealed as a spoiler, which is whenever a wisp is defeated, each knight is healed for 10 health, regardless of how far away the wisp is. As long as the wisp died, every knight is healed for 10 health, which is pretty cool. The ultimate upgrade for Warrior Wisps is increases damage, speed, and HP for all wisps. Pretty cool, actually. Not bad at all. Moving on to Frostwall. Frostwall definitely has some of the most interesting skill upgrades. Now, I don't like Frostwall, but these upgrades kind of make it seem like it could be really good. So let's get started. Upgrade 1. Whenever an enemy is defeated by a Frostwall, they explode, dealing damage and freeze enemies behind them. Like, that's a pretty interesting upgrade. And I feel like it's pretty practical. It dealing damage and freezing enemies. Like, that seems really good. Upgrade 2. Increases Frostwall damage and freezes enemies that contact the Frostwall. Not crazy by any means, but I don't know how much the Frostwall damage is increased by. If it is significant enough, then I can argue that Upgrade 2 is pretty strong. Upgrade 3. Your Frostwall is an expanding ice ring dealing damage and freeze. This is the one that was intriguing me the most because it seems like it can be very, very useful as it expands, which means, well, what I perceive it to be is when you cast it, it's a ring expanding from where you are. Thus, enemies around you will get frozen and take damage, which is very strong in my opinion. And this ultimate upgrade, it seems really crazy. I don't know if there's a typo or if it's not a permanent thing, or maybe they changed how freeze reacts with champions. I don't know. But the ultimate upgrade for Frostwall is your Frostwall permanently freezes elite and champion enemies. Let me repeat that one more time. Your Frostwall permanently freezes elite and champion enemies. When I first read this, I was like, what? You can just permanently freeze a champion? And those champions just do nothing? Like, that makes no sense. How is this, like, balanced? I still haven't tested it, so I don't know if they changed the way that freeze interacts with champions and elites. So it's more like bosses, how they have, like, the freeze effect, but they don't actually become frozen. Like, I don't know if they changed it to that or what, because this seems really strong, and I'm definitely going to have to check it out. Now, Cyclone, one of the best skills overall. So, Upgrade 1. You gain move speed for each active Cyclone. I feel like this one's slightly underwhelming, but could be good in a pinch. I don't know. It's kind of like I could take it or I could leave it. It's not like super strong by any means. Upgrade 2. Whenever a Cyclone dies, lightning is summoned. I don't know how much damage this lightning does, but I'm going to assume it's 3 to 15 damage, and then scales with lightning damage. Very interesting. Once again, haven't tried Cyclone yet, so I don't know how it functions. Also, upgrade 3 for Cyclone is the one that got spoiled, which is your Cyclone, or sorry, this isn't the one that got spoiled. Ultimate's the one that got spoiled. Upgrade 3 is your Cyclone stays with the Knight and no longer pulls enemies, but it still stuns enemies. It still has all of the same attributes as a Cyclone normally would. It just doesn't pull in enemies, which pairs really well, in my opinion, with the ultimate upgrade for Cyclone, which is chunks of earth are thrown, dealing damage. So since it no longer pulls enemies, since it no longer pulls enemies, the chunks of earth that are being thrown around the Cyclone seem to actually hit enemies and not just completely miss, because all the enemies are now in the middle of the Cyclone. Once again, still need to test it because it seems really strong, but maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll have to see. Moving on to Hailstone Armor. Upgrade 1. Thrown snowballs create an ice spike, dealing AoE damage around the target. I don't know how I feel about that. It seems okay. I don't know. I definitely would have to test it. I haven't tested it yet. Upgrade 2. Gain a passive aura that slows enemies around you. Now, it seems good and all, but it's also not that crazy unless you really struggle with enemies being too fast, which I feel like the majority of people don't. I don't know. Maybe it's like an underwhelming one, but generally speaking, it's always a good one to take. I don't know. Upgrade 3. Whenever you cast a perfect Hailstone Armor, you become temporarily invulnerable. Wow. That's something for sure. Being able to just become temporarily invulnerable whenever you perfectly cast Hailstone Armor, like, it makes it more of a armor or a let's perfect Hailstone really quickly so we don't take damage kind of thing, which allows for a lot of tech to be built around it. But we'll just have to wait and see what people come up with. And then the ultimate upgrade for Hailstone Armor is whenever you cast a perfect Hailstone Armor, you gain armor. I don't know how much armor, but it's got to be significant, I'm assuming. Also releases a Frost Nova that freezes. So the ultimate seems the strongest out of all of the upgrades, which makes sense. I just don't know which other upgrades you would pair together to get the ultimate. I don't know. If this armor gain is significant, like if it's 5 armor, then it seems very worth it. But once again, we'll have to see, wait and see. I haven't unlocked all the skills yet. There's so much grinding to do to get them. Moving on though, we have Ballista. Upgrade 1. Your Ballista is imbued with a random element: burn, freeze, poison, or lightning. So each arrow, or I guess bolt that the Ballista shoots, will be imbued with a random element. So maybe one shot is burn, the next shot's freeze, the next shot's poison, the next shot's lightning. Doesn't have to be in this order. It's just each shot will get a random status element. Upgrade 2. Your Ballista shoots a spread of 3 arrows. This is the upgrade that got spoiled. Seems pretty strong, but I don't know. Well, once again, gotta wait and test it out, or try it out for yourself, see what you like. Upgrade 3. Whenever an enemy is damaged by Ballista, you heal. I'm assuming it's only 1 health, but even if it's only 1 health, that is still a lot of healing, especially if you pair it with upgrade 2, where it's 3 arrows. I'm assuming each arrow counts as damage by a Ballista, which means if you have upgrade 2 and upgrade 3 together, each arrow will heal you, I'm assuming 1 health. Haven't tested, I don't know how much health you actually heal, but assuming it's the lowest that it could be, which is 1 health per arrow, that's still a lot of healing. A lot of passive healing that you don't necessarily have to be working for, or you don't need relics to do. It's just 2 upgrades or 1 upgrade and a skill. Like, it's pretty simplistic. The ultimate upgrade for Ballistas can be picked up. Whenever it's picked up, it refreshes. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how this works, because I haven't used Ballista with the ultimate upgrade yet, but I'm assuming, let's say you clear a room, and you still have a Ballista on the ground, right? That Ballista you can then walk over to and probably do some interaction to pick it up, I'm assuming. And then when you do pick it up, it just gives you back a charge of the skill. Yeah, seems pretty interesting, actually. I'll definitely have to try that. Phantom Spear, upgrade 1. Deals bonus damage for each poisoned enemy. Now, I don't fully understand this. I'm gonna need some clarity from one of the devs at some point for this, because I don't fully understand it, or like, yeah, I just don't know what it's getting at. My thought process is like, it deals bonus damage for each poisoned enemy, which means each enemy that you have poisoned currently, it would deal more damage for. But I don't know if that's accurate or not. We'll have to, once again, wait and see what the devs say. Upgrade 2. Your Phantom Spear explodes, dealing AoE damage. Now, this one's very interesting. This one doesn't seem to really fit with the Phantom Spear, like, I guess, theme, but I don't know. It seems like it's a pretty good upgrade, actually, since it explodes. I'm assuming the AoE damage is like the same damage the spear does itself. Upgrade 3, though, for Phantom Spear. Enemies hit by Phantom Spear are dealt max poison stacks. So that is very interesting, because if you pair this with one of the skills, or not one of the skills, one of the relics called Impure Pestilence, which raises the max poison stacks, I wonder if it'll deal max poison stacks like up to the max that you can actually have on that enemy instead of just the max of 5 or the default max. Wonder if that happens. It'll be cool to see. If it does, then you can like just max stack poison on every enemy the Phantom Spear hits, and it's just like crazy. You can have like 8 stacks on every enemy that obviously is hit by Phantom Spear. And that means you have like max level Impure Pestilence. But that's just really crazy in my opinion. Now, the ultimate mod for Phantom Spear is enemies hit by Phantom Spear are haunted and spawn a ghost when defeated by Phantom Spear. Very interesting. Haunted is an effect where when you attack them, they spawn a ghost, which is very interesting that they incorporated that into Phantom Spear. It does make sense, but it's just very interesting. And then spawn a ghost when defeated by Phantom Spear. So this just makes Phantom Spear a better pickup for any weapon or any class that has high damage. So like Scythe, Sword. I feel like the high damage just pairs so well with Ghosts, because Ghosts deal some percentage of your damage, or in other words, your blue damage stat, which just makes Phantom Spear fit in with all of the high damage builds, I feel like, which is very interesting, because I never thought a poison skill would fit with a damage build, but it seems to. Once again, we'll have to check that out. So moving on to Arcane Orb. Upgrade 1. Arcane Orb refreshes quicker. Upgrade 2. Arcane Orb is a cone of damage. So, I haven't seen this yet, but it seems very scuffed. I don't know, I'll have to see what it actually looks like. And the refresh of Upgrade 1, I don't know how much it is, but if it's not significant enough, then I don't think it's ever worth it. Although maybe, I don't know. Because Arcane Orb does have a default refresh of 10. So even if it's like 2, that's pretty good. Upgrade 3. Whenever Arcane Orb refreshes, 3 Seeking Orbs are summoned. Which this just makes it a crazy skill just to have with like a crazy refresh build. I don't know, very interesting. We'll definitely have to see what comes of this. And the ultimate upgrade for Arcane Orb is whenever charging, multiple Seeking Orbs are released. So my interpretation of this, because I haven't tried it yet, is with the ultimate upgrade, whenever you're charging the skill, multiple seeking orbs are released, which seems very interesting because you can like charge the skill and then cancel it, cancel the cast, and then charge again. So I don't know if you can abuse that, but it'll be interesting to see for sure. Moving on to Judgment, upgrade 1. Summons an additional set of lightning bolts. So instead of the default 1, 2, or 3, it'll be 2, 4, 6. Like there will be another parallel set of lightning bolts. Very, very good. Seems super strong. Upgrade 2. Enemies in the cast radius are rooted. So rooted, once again, is enemies can't move, but they can still attack, I believe. Very, very interesting that they added rooted to Judgment. Upgrade 3. Whenever you cast a perfect Judgment, your next 6 weapon attacks have lightning. So this effect of your next 6 weapon attacks have lightning is the same effect that you get from the blue Volt in Anvil or Area 4. Really cool. This also allows you to, when you do cast a perfect Judgment skill with upgrade 3 and your next 6 weapon attacks have lightning, this allows you to open the secret room of A4, the 2 big Tesla coils. It allows you to open those with your weapon attacks. Allows you to just become a lightning menace, basically. The ultimate upgrade for Judgment, gain a static aura that deals AoE damage. I haven't tried this. It seems very interesting. If the AoE damage is significant enough, then I guess it's worth it. But we'll definitely have to see what the static aura actually is. And then here you'll see a skill that you don't recognize because it's called Seek and Destroy. Seek and Destroy was formerly known as Eruption. It is now Seek and Destroy. They changed the skill. I haven't even played with it yet, but it seems really strong. And looking at these upgrades, it seems like you definitely need to upgrade Seek and Destroy to a point where it can kill enemies. So upgrade 1. Your drill stays in place and deals AoE damage. Now, that's kind of what Eruption did by default. So if you like that, you could always just take upgrade 1. Upgrade 2. Whenever an enemy is defeated with your drill, each knight is healed. So this one's just another healing upgrade. Not totally sure how much health you heal, but even if it's like 2 to like 5 health, that's pretty crazy. Or 10, that's even pretty good. Upgrade 3. Enemies hit by your drill are rooted. I don't really know what this one's about. Like, I don't understand why you'd want rooted enemies with this. I'm not 100% sure. Very intrigued to see how this upgrade plays out. The ultimate upgrade for Seek and Destroy. Your drill will seek indefinitely until it fails to defeat an enemy or defeat a target, which is very interesting. This could be really strong depending on how fast the drill is. Like if the drill is pretty fast or fast enough that like you can't beat it to enemies, then this is a very interesting upgrade. And once again, if you scale it hard enough, I think it can go crazy. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out though. Moving on to Cloak and Dagger, upgrade 1. Your dagger is replaced with 3 daggers that attack in a cone. Haven't used it, but 3 daggers that attack in a cone. That means you're more likely to actually hit your dagger on an enemy, or multiple enemies for that matter. Upgrade 2. Whenever entering or exiting invisibility, conjure up to 3 lightning bolts. Now, I don't understand why it says conjure up to 3 lightning bolts. Like, what causes you to conjure 3 lightning bolts, and what makes you conjure 1? Like, is it whether you perfect the skill, just tap the skill, or charge it? Like, is that what we're getting at there? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Upgrade 3. While invisible, unleash ghosts to seek and damage enemies. Enemies hit by your dagger attacks are haunted. So once again, haunted is that effect of if you haunt an enemy, every attack you deal against that enemy will summon a ghost. Seems pretty good, actually. I'll definitely have to try that one out. Then the ultimate upgrade for Cloak and Dagger is whenever entering or exiting invisibility, your next weapon attack is a guaranteed crit and deals increased damage. Now, I don't know what the increased damage is, like what the threshold is, or sorry, not the threshold, but the increase damage like percentages. Like I don't know how much it increases the damage by, but that's very interesting. Plus, you just got a guaranteed crit, which means you're dealing 1.5x damage anyways. Like that's pretty good. And on to my favorite skill right now, Arlen's Lucky Dice. Now, these upgrades are really, really fun, but are not practical in the sense that they're going to get nerfed. I've already found a way. Actually, it wasn't me who found a way. I got brought into a lobby of people who wanted to try something, and we found a way to break Arlen's Lucky Dice and basically break the game. I'll talk about that in a later video, but holy, you guys need to try Arlen's Lucky Dice with other people. Now let's get through the upgrades and then I'll talk more about that. So upgrade 1. Rolling a 1 also conjures a food. That food is a meat bone, so it heals you for 10, or it heals you for 20 if you cook it, or if you burn it, it heals you for 5. And rolling a 2 also conjures a gem, a random small stat gem. So either a small health gem that gives you 5 health, a small damage gem that gives you 1 damage, a small crit gem that gives you 2% crit, a small agility gem that gives you 5% move speed, or a small skill damage gem that gives you 5% skill damage. Very, very strong. I cannot stress this enough. This is a really strong upgrade. Upgrade 2. Rolling a 3 also summons a wisp, and rolling a 4 also summons a ballista. Now, these are small wisps and small ballistas. They deal pretty good damage. Upgrade 3. The chance of rolling a 5 or 6 are doubled. Each number has the same chance to be rolled as any other, unless you take this upgrade 3, which then increases the chance of rolling a 5 or 6 to 2x, which is pretty cool. I haven't played around with it, but it seems like you're going to be hitting a lot of 5s and a lot of 6s if you take this upgrade. On the ultimate upgrade, that just makes any of these upgrades just so much more broken. The ultimate upgrade for Arlen's Lucky Dice is roll a second Arlen Lucky Dice. So in one cast, you get 2 lucky dice rolls out of it. So you can roll like a 1 and a 2, or a 1 and a 3, or a 3 and a 4, or a 5 and a 6, or 2 6s. Like, it's just rolling another dice. It is very, very strong. Now, getting back to what I was saying before I talked about Arlen's Lucky Dice upgrades, if you play with multiple people in co-op, like I played with 3 people in co-op on Demons, which is the hardest difficulty in the game, using no Ember Shop, which means not buying anything from Arlen in the Nexus, and playing on hard difficulty. We absolutely broke the game. Like, absolutely broke the game. Just infinite stats. So how it works, because I'll do a quick explanation now and then we'll move on. If you take upgrade 1, which whenever you roll a 1, conjures food, and whenever you roll a 2, conjures a gem, right? You just need the conjures a gem part, right? And then you take upgrade 2 because it doesn't increase the odds of rolling a 5 or 6, right? Because this is kind of a downgrade with this spam build for like the co-op run build that me and a bunch of friends did. So you take upgrade 1, upgrade 2, and then the ultimate, right? So now every time you roll a dice, you roll 2 dice, which is insane, right? If you have everybody in your party rolling Arlen's Lucky Dice or using Arlen's Lucky Dice, then each person just spam rolls at once, right? One person rolls a 3, or the likelihood of somebody rolling a 3 is really high. A 3 refreshes 1 skill charge across everybody in the lobby, which is really crazy. And then enough people roll 3s and you keep spamming the dice, you can just get infinite gems. Like, absolutely infinite gems. I will definitely talk about this in a future video, but it is going to get patched. So I'm talking about it right now so that you guys can get on it and have some fun with it, because it is really, really fun. It definitely breaks the game. In like 1 loop, we had stats of like 4 or 5 loops, which is just insane. You need to try it out. Try out Arlen's Lucky Dice with a group of friends, and you will have an absolute blast. Okay, now back to the upgrades. Soul Siphon, upgrade 1. Whenever an enemy is defeated by Soul Siphon, it refreshes quicker. Now, I don't know if this... Wow. I don't know if this is permanent, as in you permanently decrease the refresh or not, But regardless, that is pretty strong. Upgrade 2 of Soul Siphon is very intriguing because I don't know exactly how it works. I haven't used it yet. But upgrade 2 conjures 3 beams. So usually it conjures 1 Soul Siphon beam straight ahead of you, but since it conjures 3, I don't know if it's like split in in 3, so like 1 on the left, 1 middle, 1 right. I don't know if it's like that or if it's like 1 forward, 1 behind, something like that. I don't know. I haven't used it yet. It seems very intriguing. I want to see how good it really is. And upgrade 3 for Soul Siphon is enemies defeated by Soul Siphon leave a damage AoE where they're defeated. So I'm assuming that damage AoE is like a percentage of the damage dealt by Soul Siphon, or maybe to the enemy. Could be very good for like AoE clearing. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see once again. But the ultimate upgrade for Soul Siphon seems really, really strong, which is whenever Soul Siphon refreshes, permanently increase skill damage. Now, even if this permanently increased skill damage is just 1%, that is really crazy. If you get like a crazy refreshing build for Soul Siphon, and you just like spam it sort of thing, you just permanently increase your skill damage, and it's just so free. I don't know. Soul Siphon seems like a really good skill right now. And they took away the animation lock, so you're not locked in animation when you're casting it, which is really, really cool. Or stuck in place, I guess, is the real issue when you're casting this. But yeah, that's gone. So there's no reason not to pick up Soul Siphon now. Moving on to Gravity Well. Upgrade 1. Conjure Beam to pierce and pull enemies towards a black hole. I don't really know how good this is. Like, it seems kind of weak. I don't know. I'll definitely have to try it. Upgrade 2. Enemies hit by Gravity Well are frozen and no longer stunned. So this just makes it better in a freeze build, I guess? Or maybe because stun wears off too soon or something. I don't know. It's intriguing. Upgrade 3. Gravity Well ends with an explosion of chain lightning that seeks other enemies. That's very interesting, because this allows you to do some sort of lightning build with Gravity Well, which you never really could do before. The chain lightning, hopefully the damage is pretty good. I don't know. I haven't used it yet, once again. I haven't used a lot of these skills, as you can tell. The ultimate upgrade for Gravity Well is Gravity Well destroys enemy projectiles. That is quite good. Quite good. If you're ever struggling to like move out of the way of projectiles, fear less, because just take Gravity Well and get the ultimate upgrade, and then you don't have to worry about enemy projectiles. It's just that easy. And the last skill here is Quasar Orbs. So upgrade 1 for Quasar Orbs is refreshes quicker. Upgrade 2 is your Quasar Orbs deal 3 cones of damage. Upgrade 3 is whenever Quasar Orbs refreshes, 3 Seeking Orbs are summoned. So there's also the same upgrades that Arcane Orb has, because Quasar Orbs is just an ultimate skill over Arcane Orb. And then the ultimate upgrade for Quasar Orbs is whenever charging, multiple Seeking Orbs are released. So it's the same as the Arcane Orb upgrades. These are the same as the Quasar Orbs down here. It's just the same, because they're both skills that you can only get on staff or on the Nexal staff. And then there's also some skill upgrade achievements along with this update. So Apprentice, which is unlock skill upgrading, Shaman, and which is unlock all upgrades for a skill, and then there's Wizard, unlock all upgrades for all skills. And then once again, the PAX competition mode is accessible from the main menu. It is called competition mode. It is very fun. You guys should definitely try it out. And now let's go over some balancing and minor adjustments. In addition to the new content and features, we've also made the following changes. So for skills, in general, increase the presence of skill rooms in all map layouts. I definitely noticed that when I was playing. There's a lot more skill rooms or skill selectors. It also seems like there might be some more relic selectors and stuff. We'll get to that a little later, I guess. Once again, Eruption was renamed to Seek and Destroy. Updated travel distance based on charge amount. Added a knock up to enemies in its travel path. Added a burst of AoE damage to the end of its travel path. Updated to seek another enemy if an enemy is killed with its AoE damage. Cloak and Dagger was updated. Updated the HUD to show the time left for being invisible. Okay, that's a really big quality of life change, actually. Knowing how long you're going to be invisible for, that is really good. Updated to allow the dagger portion of the attack to be used with the attack button while invisible. Okay, that's actually very good. That just makes Cloak and Dagger so much easier to use, and it's just a bunch of quality of life things. Very good. I like them. Alright, moving on to Relic section. In general, increased frequency of legendary relics appearing, which I've noticed, actually. I've noticed that I've been getting a lot of legendaries recently, or at least like 1 or 2 per run, which is more than normal. Because normally you would only be able to pick them up in like shops because it's really hard to find a legendary in a relic selector. But I've been seeing them more and more. And then added the ability to upgrade relics that are limited to being owned by 1 player. Applies to Pristine Band and Withercore. Relics that are limited to being owned by 1 player. So relics that are like 1 per lobby now have levels, which is pretty cool, actually. And they also changed Withercore. We'll have to talk about that slightly later. They added a new relic called Pyro Guard. Enemies that you burn deal reduced damage. It's an epic relic. Damage reduction is 20%, and then max owned is 1. So I don't know how well this actually, or how good this really is. It seemed good when I initially read it, but I'm not so sure now. I guess it just makes burn builds a little bit better. They changed Empowered Bangle, reworked it to your first skill hit on an enemy deals skill damage. And the damage is 30 skill damage, and then multiplied by the skill damage percentage. So let's say you have 200% skill damage, and you pick up Empowered Bangle. So it'd be dealing 30 damage multiplied by the skill damage percentage, which is 200, right? But since it's a percentage, it's 30 multiplied by 200%, which is 60 damage. Which is not bad, actually. And then damage growth of 10 and max owned of 2. Okay, so the max level cap is still 2. And then the damage growth is 10. So you can get up to 40 damage. Not bad at all. They also reworked Shock Troop to whenever you defeat an enemy with lightning, you gain armor. Increases max armor to or by 10. I guess increases max armor by 10 on pickup. So when you pick it up, you gain 5 max armor, or 10 max armor instantaneously. And the armor gain is 3. So every time you defeat an enemy with lightning, you gain 3 armor, which is not bad, actually. And the max armor growth is 5. So you can have max of 4. So the first time you pick it up, you get 10 max armor. The second time you pick it up, you gain another 5 max armor, which puts you to 15 max armor, and then 20 and then 25 max armor when you're at max level of 4, which is not bad at all. Withercore got reworked. It used to be your poison effects last longer, but it really wasn't used, and it didn't really have a place in any build, even the poison build. It just wasn't good enough. But they reworked it, and now it's pretty good. Whenever a player defeats a poisoned enemy, they drop a withering core that heals. Now, the healing growth is 2, and it also heals for 2 on level 1, and the max level is 4. Dropped item applies to all players. So the wither core that gets dropped heals for 2, or 2 plus however many levels you have, because it increases by 2 per level to a max of level 4, which would be a max of 8 health per wither core dropped. And that wither core that gets dropped will be magnetized to the closest player, and then it can only be picked up by 1 player. So if you're playing in co-op, you can only 1 person can pick up wither core. Yeah, it's kind of interesting in that way. Creatures Bond. Reworked to add flat bonus damage to wisps. So now it's damage of 15 at level 1 and the damage growth of 10. So every level increases the damage by 10. Increased duration from 6 seconds to 8 seconds, which is cool. Duration growth of 2 seconds. Okay, that's pretty cool. So max level of 2. So at level 1, creatures bond, increases Wisp's damage by 15, and the duration lasts for 8 seconds. And then at level 2, it increases Wisp damage by 25 and lasts for 10 seconds, which is not bad at all. They also heavily nerfed Rejuvenation Glove. They changed it from a common to an epic, and it can no longer be upgraded. So goodbye the good old Rejuve Glove. Crit heal build, it's kind of gone. Or at least it's been nerfed a lot. However, they did buff Recovery Ring. Recovery Ring is so much better now. Recovery Ring. Increased healing from 1 to 10. So now, for every new room you enter, you heal 10 health. And it increases its growth from 1 to 5. So now every consecutive level, it'll increase the healing by 5, which is really, really crazy. Not gonna lie, it's pretty strong. It is like a way stronger regeneration, which regeneration is an Ember Tree upgrade. So Recovery Ring is really good, or at least strong enough to be valuable now. For Glacier Necklace, they increased the damage from 5 to 15 and increased the growth damage from 5 to 10. Plasma Ball. Increased proc chance from 25% to 75%. Max stacks of 2 for 100% chance. So Plasma Ball used to be really, really bad because there is a 25% chance to conjure lightning upon killing an enemy. But now it's a 75% chance at level 1, which is really good. And then level 2 maxes it out at 100% chance. Honestly, pretty good, pretty valid. And then Shocking Revelation got a big buff. So they increased the damage from 3 to 15 to 15 to 30. Like, that is very significant. And Flawless Brace, they increased the damage from 25% to 30%. Not too big of an increase, but definitely slightly needed. They also buffed Pristine Band because it was pretty weak as well. Increased HP gain from 1 to 5. So now when you perfect a room with Pristine Band, you gain 5 max HP along with all the other players in your party. Increased growth from 1 to 2. So now each consecutive level will increase the health gain by 2 instead of 1. And increase max owned from 4 to 5. Oh, so now there's max of 5. So level 1, you gain 5. Level 2, you gain 7, 9, 11, and then 13. So you can get a max of 13 health per perfected room at max level. Not bad at all. And only one person can equip this. Decayed Scepter. Increased skill damage from 15% to 50%. That is a much needed buff. Decayed Scepter was probably not picked up very often. And they also increased poison stacks from 1 to 3 to 3, 4, 5. That seems really strong, actually. You know, to apply 5 poison stacks. We'll have to see how that word plays out. That seems really good. Search Pendant. Increased bonus skill damage from 50% to 75%. Not bad at all. Increased max owned from 2 to 4. Wow. That actually scales really hard then. That's kind of nuts, actually. Increased duration from 3 seconds to 8 seconds. They also increased the duration by like 5 seconds. No, Search Pendant is crazy now. Starts at 75% increased skill damage, and per level gains 50%. Because that's just what it used to be. So 75% to 125% to 175% to 225%. Yeah, that's max level. So 225% skill damage at max level Surge Pendant for 8 seconds. Magic Tome also got a big buff. Increased damage from 5 to 25, and then increase the growth from 5 to 10. Makes it a lot better now. It definitely does way more damage and is very useful. And Spell in a Bottle got a big buff. Increased damage from 15 to 25. So that's a good increase, right? And then they increased the max owned from 1 to 4. And increased base projectiles from 1 to 2. Added projectile growth of 1. So for each level, you get another seeking missile that does 25 damage, which is just like absurd. Increase the frequency of appearing. That's interesting that they say that. That's very interesting that they say that. That means like each relic has a different percentage of appearing, I guess. That's interesting. So onto a legendary relic, Meteor. Arguably what used to be one of the worst relics, but now it seems fairly useful. Increase the HP threshold from 20% to 50%. So now when you hit half health, you will proc Meteor, which will then proc a bunch of meteors spawning, dealing like 100 damage, which is pretty good. Definitely worth the pickup now. It never really used to be worth the pickup, unless you're just going to gamble it away to an offering pit or Bob. Ornate Glove got buffed. Increased bonus stats from 5 to 10. Not bad at all. Steel Greaves got buffed back to where it was previously, which is increased max armor growth from 5 to 10. And increased gained armor from 2 to 5. Actually, wait, max armor growth from 5 to 10. Wait, that's a buff in itself. Now, Infested Mind got almost brought back to where it was really broken. Increased damage from 40 to 70 on Infested Mind. So, Infested Mind is whenever you apply 5 stacks of poison to an enemy, deal blank amounts of damage and removes the stacks. Now to 70 damage, which makes the poison build kind of good again. We'll definitely have to try that out again. Trusty Wizard's Hat. Increased bonus skill damage from 25% to 50%. I don't know how useful this Trusty Wizard's Hat really is. I've never really used it, and it seems kind of weak or on the weaker side. They also increased the duration from 6 seconds to 8 seconds. Definitely not my favorite by any means. And then Impact Charm got buffed. Increased damage from 15 to 25. Giant Mace got buffed. Increased bonus damage multiplier from 50% to 100%, which is quite insane, actually. That is a lot more damage. Definitely have to try a stun build. Clobbering Mace also got buffed. Increased damage from 25 to 40, but then they decreased the growth from 25 to 15. And then another legendary here, Ember Seed. Increased HP threshold from 15% to 50%, and increased healing per enemy rooted from 2 to 5. Wait, that's actually kind of nuts. Increased tick damage from 3 to 10 times skill damage. It scales. Let's go. That's actually crazy. They made it scale. Oh my god. Wait, Ember Seed is like pick-upable now. It's not like super weak. It's pretty good. And then Doomshell, another legendary. That the only caveat was that it had a 1-second cooldown, and they just removed it. So now Doomshell is just really good, or at least like a straight up positive. There's zero downside. Last but not least, Mimic King's Consort. Wow, I was really hoping they were going to buff him, and that's exactly what they did. They absolutely buffed him. I love this. It's actually insane. So increased damage from 15 to 30, which not crazy, but good. Increased HP from 100 to 550. So this mega buffed his health and then doubled his damage so far. Increased attack rate from 1 second to 0.75 seconds. So he now attacks a quarter of a second faster, which is not bad. And they removed the lifetime. Wait, he had a lifetime before? Wait a second. No wonder why he died so often. Because he would just randomly die because he had a lifetime. There's a couple more sections here that we got to go through. One being curses. Bane of the Deal was updated to preserve rarity on swap. It used to not care about the rarity of relics when it swapped everything up, and now it does. So that is beautiful. And then they also changed Boon of Stratting to updated to apply to all players. So Boon of Stratting used to apply to all players, technically speaking, as in everybody got the curse of not being able to see. I believe that's what this curse is about, is where everything goes dark, but then at the end, when you cleanse it, only one person would get the benefit, but everybody would have the negative. So now everybody gets the benefits, and everybody else has the negative. So very, very good. Void Mantle got changed or updated. The Dark Clone cooldown resets when entering a new room. That's actually a big buff. The Dark Clone is whenever you dash, you set up like a decoy behind you, and it does something based on your weapon mods. And since it gets reset whenever you enter a new room, that means the first time you dash in a new room, it will spawn your Dark Clone. which makes Void Mantle more consistent. Updated the charge attack as well. Reduced charge time based on the number of orbs that are stored. And then removes charge requirement when 5 orbs are already stored. Now you can like partially charge your attack and cancel it or like dodge out of it, right? But it'll keep the orbs that you charged for your next charge attack that you actually go through with. And then it'll, instead of like restarting the entire charge attack animation, it'll start it where you left off. So let's say you have all 5 orbs around you and you go to charge attack and you charge like 2 and then an enemy's attacking you, so you dodge cancel out of it, right? Those 2 orbs are still charged. And when you go to charge attack again, it will charge starting at the 3rd orb because you already have 2 charged. Makes it very strong, or at least balanced. I don't know. Haven't played with it yet, but it seems much better than it was. Dark spells. Prioritized enemies hit by the charge attack. So enemies hit by the charge attack, which is the little AoE around you, will prioritize the dark spells, or will be prioritized by the dark spells. So if you hit an enemy with your charge attack, the dark spell is most likely going to hit that enemy. And removing targeting on invulnerable enemies. Okay, that's very nice, actually. Dark spell Black Hole was updated. Increased damage from 30 to 50. Updated to work like Darkening. Deals base damage or 10% of enemies' health damage, whichever is higher. Wow. Okay, that is a big buff for Black Hole, the Dark spell Black Hole. That is really big. So it increased the damage from 30 to 50, which is more damage than Darkening spell. But it also works like Darkening, as in it will deal either 50 damage or 10% of the enemy's max health, whichever one is higher. That's super cool. And they also updated some visuals, so we'll have to check those out. Dark spell Celestial Tear. Removed requirement of hitting an enemy to activate. That's good, I guess. I didn't really notice it. Once again, I don't play Void Mantle very often, so I'm not aware of all of the bad things, but that's very interesting. Now we're going to get onto some of the areas balancing. This will probably be pretty quick, but let's just see. So in Skogfirth, there was a champion Rotworm. They reduced the spawn count, which means there's going to be less enemies spawning by the champion Rotworm. In Whitesbury, in general, added a green glow to indicate when the next room is a white room. So now you'll know which room is a white room before you enter. Like, it'll have like a ghostly aura, and that's how you know it's a white room. Poxrat sadly got nerfed. Reduced attack speed, reduced range, reduced number of projectiles. Just a fat L for Poxrats. Honestly, they're really annoying enemies, so I don't care. I'm glad they changed this. These just, it makes my day, honestly. I hate Poxrats. Wheeled Wolf in Whitesbury once again. Added a max spawn count, which means you can't be overwhelmed by wolves anymore, which is just like massive. You can't just be swarmed by wolves anymore. Super cool. I love that they did that. It's definitely a quality of life thing there. In Anvil, in general, they reduced the number of traps. Big plus. I hate traps. Traps are like the bane of me. I always get hit by traps, regardless of if I'm actually focused on dodging them or not. I always get hit by traps. Reduced the max number of supercharged enemies. So that's cool. You can't just be in a room full of supercharged enemies anymore. Various visual improvements. Not quite sure what they're talking about here, but I'm down for visual improvements. That's fine. Cleaver. Reduced range to match its champion version, which is not bad at all. And then reduced attack radius. That's big. This one is a big one. Reduced attack radius. That's massive. Stalker. Added a max speed to its chase attack. Thank you. If you're playing on like max haste and we're doing loops and stuff, Stalkers would just start like teleporting. And now they have a max speed. So that's perfect. I like that. That's a great change. Defense bots, reduced active range for its projectile attack. Thank God. Bro, defense bots used to just snipe you from across the map. Like, you didn't even know where they were. Like, they were off screen and they were just attacking you. So hopefully it's short enough range that you still see them attack you and it's not just coming from off screen. Obviously, that's going to take a couple of attempts to actually focus on and like look at to see. But that's great. And champion enemies got changed. In general, they reduced the HP on various champions, reduced the number of additional enemies that can spawn during the fight, which is nice, so you don't just get swarmed and then have a champion in the room as well. And then they changed the champion Rotworm, reduced the number of regular Rotworms, which means there's not going to be as many Rotworms in a champion Rotworm room anymore. which is very nice. They removed the additional spawning of regular rotworms. Perfect. This makes champion rotworm rooms much more manageable and just in general better. Now, Tyrant difficulty mod got changed slightly, or yes, updated. In general, they reduced attack speed, decreased spawn rate for some attacks, improved attack visuals, and updated to show praxis with each attack. So praxis will now come onto your screen and call down whatever Tyrant modifier he's calling down or starting. It's like an indicator to know that you're going to get a Tyrant modifier. It's very useful. And Void Vortex added a short delay before the attack, so now you can actually see it happening instead of it just spawning on top of you like it used to. And then they improved attack visuals, which is nice. Now there's some miscellaneous changes. Adjusted and balanced the HP of most enemies. A bunch of memory optimization and improvements, which this is just great. Various localization improvements, great. I'm down for that. And as you can see here, a lot of bugs. Like a lot. Once again, everything with a fire emoji is something that the community has helped them with or helped them fix. So great. And that's it for now. Okay, wow. This is a lot of information. This was a big update. I'll go into more depth later on, showing skills and how they look and what builds are best for them and stuff. But if you've made it this far in the video, wow, that's all I can say. This one's definitely been a long one. Thank you for watching. And if you have any comments, suggestions, anything, challenges even, I like to do challenges. And let me know your thoughts on these skill upgrades and what you've done with them so far. Sadly, the update's not out on Switch yet, but it is now up to Nintendo to do whatever checks they like to do to finalize it. Let me know how you're liking this update so far, because I'm loving it. And it's an absolute blast. Even though there's a lot of grinding for Ash to be able to use these skill upgrades, it's still so much fun. And once again, thank you for watching. And if you've enjoyed this, please leave a like on this video. And if you want to see more content like this, just subscribe to my channel so you never miss another video from me. But that's it for now. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.